Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Liv. This is a developing story regarding Ian Andre Roberts, the former Des Moines, Iowa superintendent who was arrested by federal authorities. If you've been following my previous videos on this case, you know there's been a lot of speculation, updates, and unanswered questions. Since the arrest, new information continues to surface. And while I can't fit everything into one video, what I'm sharing today represents some of the most important discoveries so far. Keep in mind, this case has now triggered wider investigations, not just into school districts' hiring practice, but also into potential corruption tied to voter registration systems and public administration. So let's go through what's been confirmed, what's been uncovered, and what's been questioned. According to the Department of Justice complaint, Ian Roberts' work eligibility in the U.S. lapsed in 2020, meaning he was not legally authorized to work after that. However, despite this, he continued to hold an administrative position, including the top role in Des Moines School District. Adding to that, there are reports surfacing that Roberts may have had prior arrests and criminal charges from the early 90s, including allegations of drug convictions, forgery, and weapons related offenses. Those details are still being verified, but they paint a concerning picture of someone who repeatedly managed to move between institutions under the radar. Many believe this isn't just negligence, it's an institutional failure that points to a culture of willful ignorance within public education leadership. We already know that if fake identification was involved, then this wasn't just a person's deception, it points to something much deeper. Because for a person to be hired, paid, and even promoted, multiple systems had to cooperate, whether through negligence or intent. So let me ask y'all, was this incompetence or was it corruption? Either way, my personal answer is simple. Both are unacceptable. Next, one of the biggest revelations involves Robert's academic background and what he claimed versus what's been verified. Roberts claimed to have earned a doctorate from Morgan State University, but Morgan State has confirmed that while he attended from around 2002 to 2007, he did not complete a degree. When Iowa's Department of Education reviewed his transcripts, they found the following: Copeland State University's a bachelor's in criminal justice, St. Paul's University, master's in education, Georgetown University, McDonough School of Business, master's, Morgan State University, no degree awarded despite his claims. Trident University International, his attorney now claims this is where Roberts earned a doctorate, though that's still being disputed. Roberts also listed on his LinkedIn profile that he attended MIT's executive MBA program, but MIT officials publicly stated that there is no record of enrollment for anyone by the name in that program. You must ask yourself, how many more people like this are sitting in leadership roles with falsified degrees, exaggerated credentials, or questionable documentation, making decisions that impact our children's future? How can so many layers of verification fail at once? And to the school boards and search firms, if this kind of dishonesty went unchecked for years, what else are they allowing to slip through the cracks? In response to these revelations, the Des Moines School Board has filed a lawsuit against JG Consulting, the firm responsible for helping them find and vet candidates for superintendent. The lawsuit accuses the firm of breach of contract, negligent misrepresentation, and failure to properly vet Roberts. According to the school board, the contract specifically required JG Consulting to ensure all candidates' materials were accurate and complete, conduct full references checks, perform criminal credit and background checks. However, the board now claims that those steps were not properly carried out. Now, JG Consulting, on the other hand, responded by saying that Roberts provided all required documents and that they had flagged discrepancies in his educational history, which they claimed were shared with the board before he was hired. Despite that, the board chose to move forward with his employment anyway. Residents across the state are calling out the negligence and demanding accountability, placing it at the feet of the school board. Jackie Norris, however, appears to be deflecting blame away from herself and others involved, shifting the push for accountability onto someone else. Not only was Jackie Norris the head of the school board during this scandal, she's now running for U.S. Senate. Her credibility as a leader is being challenged, with many Iowans openly asking, if she failed to properly vet a superintendent for our children's education, how can she be trusted to represent an entire state in the U.S. Senate? Norris has built her campaign around leadership and family values, but this case exposes a crisis of judgment under her watch. If she couldn't ensure transparency in one district, what does that say about her readiness to lead at the national level? This is the thing. I don't believe the firm is entirely innocent. However, it's important to remember that the school district is the one that hired JG Consulting. People involved in these kind of scandals often contract with those who provide the service they need. Usually, individuals or firms willing to go along with the corruption. Then, when they're caught, they start pointing fingers at each other. It's the typical behavior of those engaged in criminal activity. Now, let's look back at Robert's employment history before Iowa. Before becoming superintendent in Des Moines, Roberts worked in Pennsylvania as a school administrator. It's been reported that during his time there, the district faced multiple sex discrimination lawsuits, including claims made by male staff members. Those cases reportedly led to over $400,000 in settlements paid by the district, not personally by Roberts, but the behavior and complaints occurred under his leadership. As for his reported salary in Iowa, there's been speculations that he made around $300,000 a year, but official sources list his pay closer to $286. I understand to many people that's the same thing as saying $300,000 a year. More importantly, taxpayers' money was spent on these kinds of oversight failures that cost communities financially and morally. Now, ask yourself this: how does someone with that kind of track record, tied to lawsuits, deceptions, and controversy, keep getting promoted to higher paying roles in education? How is that even possible without complicity at multiple levels? That's nearly $300,000 of taxpayers' money entrusted to a man who, by all indications, was never even legally authorized to work in the first place. It's exploitation, plain and simple. Beyond Roberts himself, what this case has exposed is a much deeper problem in the public school system, a system that sometimes prioritizes optics, diversity quotas, and political gain over competence and truth. What also becomes a pattern in cases like this is how certain criminal behavior are constantly excused. We often hear they're hard workers or everyone like them, as if those personal qualities somehow erase the fact that laws were broken. These emotional distractions are used to downplay serious violations, and they shift the focus away from accountability. And let's be clear, the people defending these actions rarely speak up for the American citizens who are directly affected by them. They should not be in positions of leadership, making decisions for our children or shaping the moral direction of our communities, because what they represent is not compassion, it's anti American and morally unjust. Federal and local officials are now looking into how Roberts was hired, how he passed background checks, and how sealed or incomplete personal records may have allowed this to happen. Many of these hiring practices have been justified under DEI and affirmative action policies. These policies are being misused and lead to corruption disguised as inclusion, often at the expense of American educators and communities who those programs were originally meant to uplift. This case is still unfolding, and new details are being released almost weekly. There's more to uncover about the school's district's internal processes, sealed records, and potential misconduct tied to the wider network of administrators. So stay tuned because this investigation is just getting started and the implications reach far beyond Des Moines. If you've been following this story, let me know in the comments what concerns you most. Is it the fake credentials, legal status, or the failure in hiring accountability? At the end of the day, this isn't just about one man's deception. It's about a system that allowed it to happen, a system that needs reform, transparency, and a moral leadership rooted in truth. Because when corruption hides behind education, it's our children and our communities who pay the price. Thank you for joining. If you found this video informative, I hope you consider subscribing and like the video. I'll see you in the next one.